What's up, weirdos? I'm Felicia and I like scary movies, and today we're doing a video I cannot believe I haven't done before, and that is my favorite modern day final girls. So I'm not talking Laurie Strode, I'm not talking Nancy Thompson, I am talking, I think I'm starting at the year like 2013 or something to present day, like really the last decade of final girls. Now, before we start, what's a final girl? I'm sure a lot of you know this trope, but let's get a little specific for a second. The term was coined by Carol J. Clover in her book, Men, Women, and Chainsaws, which I own, highly recommend it. And she describes the final girl as the girl who makes it to the end of the film. Not only does she not get killed by the monster like most of her friends, but she has to ultimately face off with the monster herself and defeat him. Some characteristics of a final girl that we don't see exactly all of them every time, but these are just in general. Usually they're a virgin, they're not interested in having sex, while some of their other friends might, which creates the other trope of you have sex, you die. They usually are kind of the all-around good girl, like they don't drink, they don't smoke, they're smart. A lot of times they have a unisex name, not always, but a lot of times. They're also extremely curious and learn throughout the movie how to fight, how to defend themselves, and how to destroy the monster. Now, I could talk about final girl stuff all day long, but let's go ahead and get into my favorites. Also to note, this video has a lot of spoilers, so I will list the movies I'm going to be talking about with the timestamps down in the description box. You have been warned. Okay, I'm so excited. All right, let's start it off strong with Mia from the Evil Dead remake from 2013. This could actually be considered a remake or a sequel. I don't actually know what's correct. 5 friends head up to a remote cabin where the discovery of a book of the dead leads them to unwittingly summon up demons living in the nearby woods. This was directed by Fede Alvarez and it stars Jane Levy playing Mia. So Mia, let's talk about this. Her journey in this movie is amazing. So she starts off as a heroin addict. She is going up to this cabin basically with her friends and brother to get clean. So she is already in a weakened state when she gets there. Then she gets possessed and becomes a deadite. I mean, geez, having a bad week much? Then she plays this amazing, disgusting, horrible, brutal demon for most of the movie. And by the way, I mean, I just freaking love this movie so much. It is so scary. It is so over the top gory. It's just so good. But then at the end of the movie, she is basically killed and brought back to life by her brother, and she's back to herself, and she has to defeat this big ultimate demon that is rising from the earth in a blood rain storm. Man, I love this movie. And she ultimately has to use a chainsaw to fight off the demon and cut it in half. It's amazing. Next up, we have Jay Height from It Follows from 2014. This is, yes, the STD, sexually transmitted demon movie. Written and directed by David Robert Mitchell, a young woman is followed by an unknown supernatural force after a sexual encounter. Jay is played by Micah Monroe, and the thing I love about this character is it completely subverts the virgin final girl trope. So, we have a character who starts the movie already having had sex, and then the results of the sex we see in the movie starts this whole plot, right? And basically, if you haven't seen it, you're followed by this supernatural force, and the only way to get rid of it is to have sex with someone else and pass the supernatural thing on to them. So it just goes down the line of people having sex. So not only is she not a virgin, but she also ultimately has to use sex for survival in this movie, which is very interesting. Now, I think I've talked about this before, but It Follows is a movie that grew on me over time. The first time I saw it, I wasn't sure how I felt about it, and the second time I saw it, I was like, this is a masterpiece. Something else that's different about Jay is she ends the movie not alone. Like a lot of times with final girls, we have that ending scene where they're sitting on the ambulance with the blanket on them and it's like they made it, you know? And this, she actually is still with some of her friends at the end of this movie. And the group of her friends throughout the movie are trying to figure out how to defeat this thing without having to pass it on. And it's definitely a different formula, but I definitely still consider Jay a final girl. Next up, I have Sam Kraft from Satanic Panic, the 2019 film. I love this movie. I've talked about it on this channel before. It was written by Grady Hendrix, who you'll know from writing books like My Best Friend's Exorcism, Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and most recently Final Girl Support Group, which I haven't read yet, but if you have, let me know how it is. And it was directed by Chelsea Stardust, which, great name, great director. The character of Sam is played by Haley Griffith, and I actually have an interview with her that I'll link in the description of this video. She is so sweet and amazing. You have to watch this. A super broke pizza delivery girl has to fight for her life and her tips when her last order of the night turns out to be high society Satanists in need of a virgin sacrifice. So what I love about Sam, she is funny, she is awkward, she's kind of playing that stereotypical like quirky cool girl character, but somehow makes it so genuine. She also ends up teaming up with another character named Judy, played by Ruby Modine, and them as a duo is also really great. And the thing I really love about her too is that she doesn't want to hurt anyone. She's so like sweet natured, and so whenever she does have to hurt someone for her own survival, she feels so bad about it. It creates this like extra level of comedy. If you haven't seen this movie in general, like it's really freaking fun. Highly recommend. Next up we have, ooh, this is like really one of my faves. Grace from Ready or Not. Another movie I love so much. This movie was directed by Matt Bentinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. It's about a bride's wedding night that takes a sinister turn when her rich and eccentric new in-laws force her to take part in a terrifying game. So basically she has to play hide and seek. She has to hide. The family's goal is to seek her and kill her. Grace is played by Samara Weaving, who's truly one of my favorite actresses. I think she is so good in everything she does. And there's a couple things I love about her. One, she's not always great at being a final girl, which actually applies to a couple people on this list. It's kind of honest in the way of like, oh, like you don't just become good at shooting guns because you're like in the moment. Like sometimes she's gonna be bad at it. Sometimes she's gonna forget she didn't load the gun. Something else I love about her, and this is just how the character is written, she's always reacting how I think I would react in these situations. Like she's pissed. Like, yes, of course she's scared, she's running for her life, but she's also like, F you, all of you are crazy. Like, there's something just so honest about how she reacts to everything. Oh, also something she has in common with Sam from Satanic Panic is they both punch little boys in the face at some point. And both boys deserve it in both movies, by the way. Oh, I just think Grace is like such a badass. Like also like the imagery of her in the wedding dress with the weapons, like it's just such good imagery. I love this final girl. And like she's a fighter, like she's smart, like she'll run when she should run, but also she will freaking fight you. And I love that. Okay, and last but not least, I of course have to mention the 2021 Netflix trilogy, Fear Street, and yeah, I'm talking about Dina. Dina is a non-white, gay final girl. I mean, that is thrilling. If you don't know, Fear Street is based on the R.L. Stine books from like the 90s. They were directed by Lee Janiak, and I mean, the plot, okay, so it's kind of a lot between the trilogies. The first one takes place in the 90s, the second one in the 70s, and the third one in the 1600s. But like the basic plot is after a series of brutal slayings, a teen and her friends take on an evil force that's plagued their notorious town for centuries. I love how freaking like 90s cool Dina is, first of all. I love that she's not perfect. She like has flaws. Like she's not always nice. Like sometimes she's kind of a dick. So first of all, I just love that Dina's like so 90s cool. I love that she's a complicated character. Like she's not like just a perfect final girl that we don't want to see get hurt. She is complicated. She has problems in her life. She is like going through stuff. She's not always nice. She has like she's very three-dimensional to me, but she's also very tough always willing to fight for her friends, and ultimately, through this trilogy, she's fighting for love. And that's nice. Like, even when her girlfriend gets freaking possessed, she's like, babe, I'm gonna figure this out. And I love that. But that's it. I know there's a lot I could add to this list, so please in the comments tell me your favorite modern day final girls. I want to hear from you. And that's it, people. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice scream. Bye.